Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes, and thank you for joining me for day number 1 of my 31 Days of Horror, a series that I'm super excited about doing this month. It's 31 horror movie reviews over 31 days, all through October until Halloween. As I said, I'm super keen for it. I love this time of year, even though I'm sure a lot of people know here in Australia we don't really celebrate Halloween. You might see like a couple of kids trick-or-treating in the street, some people putting up decorations, but overall it's safe to say we don't really celebrate it. But doesn't mean that I don't love the vibe and this time of year. It's very different to the States, it's starting to get colder in a lot of countries, but here in Australia we're moving into spring, so it's getting really warm. It's like these hot, balmy nights. You crack the window a bit, so hopefully some cool air will come through, and you just stay up late and watch horror movies. It's fucking awesome. I love it. Obviously, it's very different to a lot of people out there, but it's the same with Christmas. It's hot nights on Christmas here in Australia, and I love it. But either way, getting off topic, today's movie for day number 1, we have 2018's Halloween rebooted sequel put out by Blumhouse. Now, before I get any deeper into this movie, I just want to quickly clarify. When some people do the 31 Days of Horror challenge, they sometimes follow a criteria. I'm not following any criteria, I'm just putting on whatever I sort of feel like watching. However, for day 1, as I said, I'm doing Halloween 2018. The halfway mark, so day 15, I'll be doing Halloween Kills, and then day 31, which is Halloween, and will end the 31 Days of Horror, I'll be watching Halloween Ends. They're the only movies that I've sort of locked in for myself. And I tried to do one right at the start, halfway mark, and then to cap off the challenge. So just thought I'd get that out of the way, but let's get into Halloween 2018 now. Before we get into my thoughts, we'll quickly go through the plot for this movie. So this film takes place 40 years after the events of the original movie. Obviously, characters are older, Michael Myers is locked up, a new generation of characters and families are living in Haddonfield. Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is still there, but she's very wary of what Michael Myers is capable of. She feels like he's going to be returning, which he does in this movie, and she feels like she needs to be prepared for this to happen. And that's pretty much the plot in this movie, so let's get into my thoughts of Halloween 2018. Out of all the major horror movie franchise reboots and remakes and what have you, Halloween 2018 has to be the most split with people's opinions. There are people out there who genuinely despise this movie, hate it. And then there's people that put it on such a high mantle and think it's like God's gift to the Halloween franchise. If I have to fall into a certain half, I'd probably be in the camp of actually really liking this movie. Not quite as much as the people, as I said, who put it on this mantle, but I don't understand the people who genuinely despise this movie, and I've spoken to so many people who genuinely hate Halloween 2018, and I don't get it. I think this movie is pretty fun. First of all, the Halloween homeboys out there and the Halloween fanbase, out of any horror movie franchise fanbase, the Halloween fanbase are the hardest to please by far. If you speak to a Friday the 13th franchise fan, they'll be like, oh yeah, this movie in the franchise wasn't great, and they're not gatekeeping it. Me as a Child's Play fan, I'm happy to admit, a span of movies are really weak, but I still love the franchise. If you speak to a Halloween fan, oh my god, it's like speaking to a fucking brick wall. They try to tell you how everything should be, where the filmmakers tripped up and Michael Myers should be like this and the story is meant to be like this, but they swapped it. It's like, oh fucking hell. Speaking to a Halloween fan is the hardest thing to ever fucking do in the horror community, I swear to god. But as I said, I feel like some people are holding it on this fucking giant mantle, and then other people really despise it. I don't understand the people who really despise it. As I said, there are small nitpicks that I can pick out with this movie. It's not perfect, but I would fall into the camp of really liking this movie. Sorry, I know I went on a bit of a rant and a tangent there, but as I said, I don't understand the people who genuinely despise this movie, hate it with a passion, because honestly, this is a pretty simple movie. It's kind of hard to break down because honestly, it doesn't change too much from the typical Halloween formula, as in, it's Michael returning home on a Halloween night, seen that plenty of times before in the franchise, goes on a murder spree through Haddonfield, seen that plenty of times. All the differences in this movie to me aren't too overwhelming. The differences are basically just a new generation of characters. Laurie's now got this obsession with Michael. This new Dr. Loomis, I forget the doctor's name in this movie, and the final showdown in Laurie's fortress, whatever you want to call it. Like, they're the only, like, major gleaming differences. But as I said, the formula for a typical, again, Halloween movie is there. Like, I don't really understand the people who are like, oh, it changed too much or whatever. Like, it is very similar to a lot of the movies that we've seen in the Halloween franchise. Now, if I am going to play into the negatives, as I said, I really do like this movie, but I also said in my intro, by all means, this movie isn't perfect either. So if I'm nitpicking some of the changes, first up, it's got to be Laurie going into full lockdown. Like, she's fully prepared for Michael to return. As I said, she's built, like, this fortress in her house and in the yard. And I actually don't mind it. You know, for the storyline that they're doing and, you know, the changes that they've made, I think it's pretty welcome. But, you know, to get back into it, she's full, like, combat, defensive, ready. She's done this training. And if we really are breaking it down and thinking about it, like, this movie takes place 40 years after the events of the original Halloween. In that original film, original Halloween night in 78, Michael killed, 5 people. This makes me sound like a hater, and in real life it would be terrible, but in the grand aspects of horror movies, he killed 5 people. He's locked up. He's been locked up for 40 years. The dude's got to be like 60 now. And she's dedicated like her whole life to Michael returning. It does feel, as I said, slightly over the top, a bit meh. Michael is proven to be more capable than the average human, and he's also been shown he likes to return home to Haddonfield. But as I said, it just feels like a little bit over the top. As I said, I don't hate it. I think for the storyline that they're doing, it's a welcome change, but I do understand, you know, that sort of nitpick that people have. What else? Oh, one thing that fucking grinded my gears watching this movie, and I'm sure it didn't bug people as much as it bugged me, and it really is a real minor nitpick, but Laurie's granddaughter in this movie, always referring to her as grandmother. Who actually says grandmother to their grandma? Like, you either say grandma, nan, nana, or like some people have like weird names, like, oh, this is my Mimo or some shit. Fucking grandmother. Like, she's running around the house going, grandmother, grandmother, where are you, grandmother? Oh, that shit was fucking annoying. And like, she's like talking to her mum, oh, did you contact a grandmother? It's like, fucking say grandma, like, speak normal. Like, that was like really grinding my gears for some reason. So do the people out there who do call their grandmother, but it was just fucking weird, and it was like grinding my gears. Small nitpick, but yeah. So as I wrap up this review, I did try and keep this one a little bit more light-hearted this time, because I genuinely do have a soft spot for this movie. I really like it. Most of the people that I actually know in my real life, as I said, don't really like this movie, and I don't get it. If I'm being quite honest, rewatching it this time around, it's probably one of the times I've enjoyed it the least. Take that with a grain of salt, because I still really do like this movie. It could have just been, you know, the watching experience or whatever this time around. But, yeah, there was something that wasn't quite, you know, fully clicked in this time. But, as I said, still really like it. I understand, by all means, this movie isn't perfect. You know, as I said, some of the stuff with Laurie can come across as being, you know, maybe a little bit over the top. I did like the twist with the new Loomis. Sorry, I forget the characters' names. They don't come from my jugular. But I like that, you know, the twist of him being like dangerously obsessed with Michael. I thought that was pretty cool, even though that doesn't amount to anything at all. Like, it's pretty much wrapped up in like a span of 5 to 10 minutes. This movie's also actually pretty funny. That little black kid is like comedy gold. His humor is just very dry and subtle, but, you know, I think his delivery for a little kid is like really well done. The scene that really makes me laugh as well is when that like teen is like drunk venting to who he thinks is his neighbor, but it's Michael. Like, he's laying on the lawn and he's like, oh, sorry man, I'm stuck on your lawn. I just really like this girl, and I thought she liked me, and I was like, I thought, you know, we were gonna hook up, and I'm sorry, I'm drunk, I just want to go home. And he thinks it's his neighbor, and Michael's just dead. And I think that scene is fucking really funny as well. But wrapping this one up, to give Halloween 2018 a rating out of 10, I think this time around I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Normally I'd probably give it like an 8.5, but as I said, watching it this time, something didn't fully click, but as I said, I only took a 0.5 off it, but I still really genuinely like this movie. But thank you for joining me for day number 1 of my 31 Days of Horror. Don't know what I'm going to watch tomorrow yet. You know, I have a few movies bouncing around my head that, you know, I wouldn't mind watching, so maybe one of them. But as I said, Day number 15 will be Halloween Kills. Day number 31 will be Halloween Ends. So that will complete the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy. So if that interests you, check in on those days. But hopefully you guys enjoy this series all through October. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on any of these movies. So let me know Halloween 2018 in the comments below. And I should have probably planned a few movies ahead so you guys could watch along with me if you wanted to. But yeah, I guess, put in your calendar the 15th and the 31st, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. But either way, as I said, thank you for joining me for this episode, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.